欢迎回到狮城有约。今天的十分访谈，我们来了解恐怖主义的威胁。
是的，根据内部安全局的2023年新加坡恐怖主义威胁评估报告，尽管没有迹象表明我国即将发生恐怖袭击，但是呢，新加坡依然是恐怖分子的目标。
同时，我国也出现了更多的年轻人自我激进化的趋势，其中最年轻的只有15岁。我们早前访问了2位学者，其中一位是南大拉惹勒南国际研究院政治暴力与恐怖主义研究国际中心的研究员杨耀任。
另一位呢，则是新月社科大学人文与行为科学学院军事学复修课程主任奥马尔阿里赛义夫丁博士。
究竟是什么原因促使青少年被极端思想吸引？恐怖组织的宣传途径又出现了什么样的改变？我们来听听2位学者怎么说。
Youth are just beginning to develop the ability to think critically, discern while learning how to manage their emotions from various stimuli. I mean, we can remember when we were growing up, the kind of frustrations and emotions that we were trying to manage. So while they are at this stage, they can be vulnerable to ideas and narratives that actually tap on their frustrations and search for meaning and purpose. Furthermore, some may feel isolated and lonely or wanting to belong. So the good extremist recruiter, he knows how to tap into these frustrations that a youth might be feeling, link the reasons for it by actually blaming someone, demonizing or vilifying a group or even the state, and work their ego by citing how they can actually find purpose or a noble cause to uplift more like them.
Firstly, it's because terrorist groups are increasingly using cyber platforms to radicalize youth. So in 2014, we see them using Facebook, Instagram, more open platforms to radicalize youth. And when regulatory authorities actually crack down on terrorist activities on Facebook and Instagram, we see them moving towards more private messaging channels like WhatsApp, Telegram. And then when that's being regulated as well, we see them moving towards more obscure platforms like Rocket Chat, gaming platforms, and particularly gaming platforms where many youths are active in these places. So that's one reason. And the second reason is because of COVID, I believe, because there's a lack of social interaction. Therefore, youth might use virtual communities as a substitute for social interactions.
学者认为，尽管恐怖组织并没有特意的针对青少年进行招募，但是无孔不入的宣传手段依然可能会吸引到更多年轻人，因此我们不能够放松警惕。
没错，尤其是恐怖组织利用青少年正在建立自己的主体意识和思想的阶段，投其所好，很容易就能够吸引到涉世未深的青少年，建立认同感和归属感，进而误入歧途。
I believe that there's no specific strategy to target youth alone. So if we look at the average age of terrorist recruits, this range from about 25 to 28, 29 years old. So this is a pretty young age group, and that's an average. So the terrorist groups have a broad strategy to recruit people from all age range. Specifically for youths, the strategy of recruitment is based on capitalizing on the sense of belonging. So if we're looking at places like Indonesia, in like the Philippines, we see them creating study groups. We see them creating hobby groups to recruit youths. In cases of Singapore, we have seen cases where terrorists infiltrate gaming platforms to recruit youths. That's not to say that gaming platforms are essentially bad, but this is just a tool for them to recruit.
Of concern would be actually the children and youths of adults who have already been radicalized, as in many cases, youth do pick up the values their parents hand down. This is a concern for Southeast Asia, given the number of families that have actually gone over to theaters of conflict. In fact, a study by the Indonesian counterterrorism agency BNPT cited that back in 2017, around 11.8% of terrorists apprehended were below 21 years old. So this is something we need to monitor.
俄乌战争和中东局势升温都可能加剧恐怖主义的威胁。学者认为呢，外部地缘政治的紧张局势无疑会对新加坡和东南亚地区带来影响。
I think if we look at the Middle East and North African region, it is always an area of concern where the rise of Al-Qaeda in Afghanistan affected terrorism in this region. The rise of ISIS, Islamic State of Iraq and Syria in Iraq and Syria itself, increase the rate of terrorism in Southeast Asia. So these international arenas continue to play a part in terms of influencing the conflict landscape in Southeast Asia. Particularly, I want to raise a case where there's one Singaporean youth who, because of influences of ISWAP, Islamic State of Western Africa province, have expressed intention to travel all the way to Africa. So these areas continue to be a area of interest for Singapore and Southeast Asia.
With the highly persuasive framing of messages we see over video clips and memes, one can easily align with the causes of groups in these theaters of conflict, be it Ukraine or Africa. You see, Singaporeans, we're not living in a bubble. The Singaporeans read, travel, meet people from all over the world, and they can resonate with some of the causes and ideas stemming from outside their borders. So we need to really be very careful to teach everyone, not just youth, the ability to discern between information that can actually lead them towards harmful ideas.
而另外，内政部在去年也针对了2000多名国人和永久居民的调查，也发现，尽管有70%的人表示会保持警惕，留意公共场合出现的可疑行为和物品，
但是呢，在这当中，只有不到40%的人会在察觉到亲友出现激进化迹象的时候，选择向当局通报。为什么会出现这样子的情况呢
？If you suspect that your family is being radicalized online, the chances of you wanting to report to the authorities might be way less because of the unfamiliarity of the process. But I would like to assure everyone that the process is actually quite moderated. You don't get arrested and detained immediately. What happens is that you go through some counseling, some rehabilitation to reintegrate you back into society. So it is very important to be confident with the process and to understand that just simply by reporting your family members, that doesn't mean that they'll be detained by authorities. Early intervention is very, very important.
Caregivers need to remember that early intervention by reporting saves the lives of one they care about or love. They will not be marked for life, but actually by early reporting, you might just be able to save them instead and prevent this individual from doing something that will not only harm a lot of people, but also sets this individual on a path of no return. There are many helplines out there. There are some by the Religious Rehabilitation Group. There's also the ISD hotline. I suggest that, whenever you are a caregiver, you are aware about the sources of help that exist within the community.
深陷极端主义圈套的人们极有可能无法及时的识破恐怖组织的伎俩，主动向旁人寻求帮助。
没错，那身边的亲友在注意到哪一些迹象时，就应该要及时介入，避免他们进一步受到极端思想的侵害呢？
They'll start moving away from their families, their usual routines, and they'll become more and more isolated. And they will really not want to share more about their lives. You will see less of them. It's so easy to just let them live their lives and figure out their way. But this absence may be that time in which they are straying towards something very dangerous. And sometimes it's as simple as just basically asking, how was your day? So I think that kind of intervention or that kind of involvement and having that connection is the best defense you're going to have against any kind of harm, not just radicalization.
恐怖主义和极端思想的威胁难以根除，要对抗极端思想的蔓延，就需要全体社会的共同努力。
那作为社会的一份子，我们可以做一些什么，防止极端思想侵入我们的社会？
I think that we need to keep in mind that this is a topic that is rapidly evolving. So we should not try to stick to stereotypes about where potential dangers can come from, but rather keep an open mind about the kind of things that can tear us apart as a nation. Because these are the things that extremists of any kind would tap on to basically get their agenda across and split apart our nation.
Firstly, raising awareness is one of the ways to address the threat. If more people know about the spread of terrorist ideologies online and gaming platforms, I think we'll be more resilient against them. Secondly, is to promote social cohesion. Ultimately, if we are cohesive as a society, we are more resilient against binary ideologies that terrorist groups promote.
好了，在了解了极端主义、恐怖主义的危害之后呢，下一节的节目还要告诉您，饭后吃甜点可带来的满足感，但也可能会成为身体的负担。
怕胖又怕嘴馋，又嘴馋，想要吃甜点到底应该怎么办？稍后生活小学堂教你制作较健康的饭后甜点，不要走开，稍后见。